Hello, my name is Pam Bateson and I'm the founder and CEO of Thrive Partners. Motivations in the context of your career are about finding the thing that you keep on coming back to. What's the thing that's a fire in your belly? When you're sat with your friends and you find yourself talking about one topic over and over again. So it's important to start here because you need to establish what your career is to you. Is it a job? Is it a career? Or is it a passion? And in coming back to those first three principles, you can start to understand what you want from work. If it's a job, you're using it to be able to attain money and possibly relationships and friendships to be able to fulfill other aspects of your life. If it's a career, then you want to be able to establish and define who you are, your credentials, your expertise, and you hope to progress through an organisation and do meaningful work. But if it's a passion, then it's something much bigger than that. It's something that you've been put on the planet to do. It's something that you feel when you listen to society that you really feel as though you have a voice in. When you combine those with looking at the four aspects of your life, what do you want to achieve in your life? What do you want to achieve in love? Whether that's relationships at work, relationships at home, relationships with your family and friends. What do you want to achieve through your own learning? What have you got to learn? What do you want to build? What do you want to deepen? What do you want to find out about for the first time? And finally, what's your legacy? What do you feel as though you've been put on the planet to do? In some of the coaching assignments that we've done, we've worked with people that have either given up a career to end something like FGM or to be able to start something like the Allbright Academy, to people that actually want to find a job that's closer to home so they can spend more time with their family. It's critical that you understand what you're working for to be able to define the right role for you. The important aspect to work out is what are your motivations in building your career. There are 3 or 4 core questions for you to ask in doing that. The first one is what gets you excited? What's important to you is the second question. The third is who are you doing it for? Are you doing it for your friends? Are you doing it for your family? Or are you working to your own motivations? Do you have a clear purpose in the things that you want to create in your work life? And we ask people to start with this question. If in 5 years' time or 10 years' time you were looking back and reflecting on what you'd achieved professionally, what would you have done? What would you tell people that you'd put in place? It doesn't need to be a really big I'm going to change the world, I'm going to stop plastic. But you do need to ask yourself, why are you coming to work and what's really important to you? Look at all aspects, put them together. You might draw a wheel and you might take each aspect of your life, such as relationships, such as health, such as family, such as learning, such as growth, money, travel, exploration. And we recommend that you ask yourself, how are you rating at the moment on each of those scales? So start by putting a 0, put a score of 10 and say what are the important elements and to what extent are they important to you? And the ones that come out with a higher score, then build your career in line with those. When you go for an interview, when you start exploring jobs, come back to that core principle. What are the important aspects of work? What's your purpose? Why are you coming to work? And make sure that the aspects of the job are there within the job profile. One of the other things to establish your motivations is to talk to people and to ask them what they hear you being extremely motivated about. Sometimes you can be in a trap. Sometimes you can be in a routine or in a habit and you're doing things because they're familiar and they're repetitive. But ask your friends and ask your family, what do they know is really important to you? What do they think that you're really motivated to do in life? And start writing it down. Spend some time doing a mind map. Keep a journal. Keep some kind of track of the things that keep on capturing your attention. And ask yourself the question, what would I need to put in place for it to be possible for me to have a career that has these components? So an example of this in practice, we coached a lady who worked in media and she was the marketing director, a very successful marketing director, very talented. She had 2 children. She believed that because she was great in the job and she enjoyed it and facilitated her being able to fulfill other aspects of her life, that it wasn't possible to have a bigger job in that organisation. In a coaching conversation of just 20 minutes long, one of the things that Kerry realised was that although she'd been invited to go for this much bigger job of running the channel and being the head of broadcasting in this channel, she knew that the thing that was limiting her was her own belief. And her belief was you couldn't be a mum and have a big job. It's when we really started to explore in what way was she inhibiting her ability to be able to do a bigger role or a different role that played to all of her strengths, that she decided that actually it was perfectly possible for her to negotiate to do that job on 4 days a week and still have the flexibility to do the other things that were important to her in her life. She went forward rather than believing that she couldn't have that position because there's no way they would let her do it in 4 days, to go and say, I'd be interested in applying for the job, but my terms are that I want to be able to do it on 4 days. And 7 years on, she's designed and developed and built 4 of the most successful programmes that the channel has ever distributed on the airwaves. She's perfectly happy and fully stimulated in the job that she's doing. So in summary, what Kerry had to understand is what was important to her. She wanted more variety. She wanted more challenge. She'd been in marketing for all of her professional career. She knew that she had more ability to be able to work in a broader role. So she knew that she wanted more breadth in her job. And the other thing that she knew she wasn't prepared to compromise on was having a day a week with her young children. In establishing those 2 things, she went forward and said, this is the type of job I want. This is my criteria for how much time I want to spend with the children. And because she was supremely talented in what she was doing, the company said, of course, we're going to accept it. Values and motivations do differ. Your values you inherit from significant caregivers, from your family, and from the society and the people that you mix with. They're your rules for life. They're the things that you go through life looking for in other people. And they're often the rules that you pass on to your own children, or they're the characteristics that you look for in your close friends. Your motivations can change depending on your circumstances. So let's think about one of my scenarios. I've never been a runner. It was only when I started to learn much more about the benefits of running to stress and to health, as well as fitness, that I became more motivated. And in that motivation, I ran a half marathon. So your motivations can come about from the people that you spend time with, the job that you're doing, and what you learn is possible in life. Your motivations do change over time depending on what stage of your life that you're in, and also on how often you like to have change in your life. Some people like to have a lot of stability and like to keep change to a minimum. So your motivations may be to keep things the same, to defend the pressure of people telling you to change things because you're perfectly happy with how your life is today or how your career is. Other people like a lot of change. They like a new job, something exciting to be happening every 6 or 12 months. You'll have different motivations depending on each decade that you're in. Spend time and stop. Ask yourself, are you happy with how things are progressing? Are you still doing the things that you love? Do you feel as though you're getting personal and professional growth in the career that you're pursuing? We bring 2 identities when we come to work. Who are we personally and who are we professionally? Authenticity is important, as are the people that you surround yourselves with. So don't get caught in a trap. Spend time. New Year is often a good time to ask the questions, or when you're on holiday. What am I doing? Where am I going? What's important? And why am I doing it? Who am I doing it for? When you spend time to think and reflect, ideally with another person, to work out what you're in your job for, then inevitably that will lead to you asking yourself some questions about whether or not it's still right and what you need to change. Defining your motivations well will have many implications for your health, for your well-being, for you being aligned to many aspects of your life. You will feel in flow. You'll just feel somebody who is just naturally able to perform. So when it's aligned, we talk about absorbed concentration, about it being effortless. You're just in flow. You can just make things happen. It's easier for you to be natural, more fulfilled. You'll find that your relationships are more effortless with your children, with your family, with your friends, with your colleagues. You'll feel able to express yourself without constraint. You'll see yourself coming through in some of the ideas or some of the initiatives that you're implementing in your career, in your work, in your job. And you will feel a sense of satisfaction and pride in what you've created. So take time for yourself. Plan in a couple of times a year for you to sit down and reflect. Talk to people around you. How are they experiencing you? What are you great at? How did they feel you are today? And for so long as you're in a groove, then that's great. If they say that there's things just out of kilter, if you feel out of kilter, make sure that you factor in time to talk regularly. You don't have to be independent in being able to define your career. Spend time talking it through with somebody. Often somebody that doesn't know you is the most helpful person. Contemplate the core questions with them and then take a bit of time. Don't rush at life. Take your time to think about your career and put certain pieces in place and build up towards it.